All right, welcome everybody. Today we are going to build a computer stand. This is what it looks like. It'll be a fun project to build. Your laptop can sit right on here so you can watch videos while your computer sits up here, and you can do Fusion and watch an instructional video at the same time. They're pretty cool. We'll also put a USB port over on this side in the future, so it'll be great tool to have. Let's get down to it. Our first thing we're going to do is save our file. And as you can see at the top of my screen here, I've saved mine, but let's just go real quick to File, Save As. I'm calling mine Computer Stand Video. You can just call yours Computer Stand. I put mine in Lab Storage location. You can put it in whatever location you'd like. Just be thoughtful about where you put it so you can find it later. Go ahead and click Save, and we're ready to rock and roll. The first piece that we're going to model is going to be this outside edge of the plywood box. It's got one here. There's another one that runs all the way through here, and then a third one on this outer side, and you can kind of see the outside edge poking out there. So there's three of those. They're all identical. And then there's a front that goes all the way across underneath here to this side. There are two side pieces. Well, that one's already dead. There's one square side or rectangular side piece, and then a back piece, a bottom piece, and a top piece. There's also a back for the computer, a ledge edge, a front edge, and then that's all the pieces. So we're going to work through the side first. This is going to be our most complicated sketch we've ever created. And I'm going to just Control Z out of this because I actually already created a sketch and I didn't mean to. Okay, so now I'm back to my starting point. I'm going to create a sketch real quick. I'm going to create this sketch on the side face, not the front or the bottom, but the side face here. And I'm going to just start drawing. So I'm going to start down here in the corner. And I'm going to drag this first one to about 33 centimeters. I don't really care, just about-ish. Oh, I have a rectangle tool. Escape. Sorry about that. I'm going to drag a line to about 33. Yeah, that looks good. And then I'm going to go up from there at an angle like ish. Doesn't really matter. We'll set all these things up perfectly there. And then I'm going to turn and go about 90 degrees to like there-ish. And then I'm going to turn again and go up to like there-ish. So I've got a little chair. That's the little ledge for your computer to stand on. Then I'm going to go back over to this green and click, and then back down here, and now I have a rectangle. In past videos, I've been having you like type in numbers for each line for the length, but now we're going to do it differently. We're just going to get the general shape we want, and now we're going to type in the numbers using dimensioning key. So I'm going to push D for dimensioning. I'm going to click on this bottom line down here, and I want to type in 33, enter. Once I do that, it's set the length to 33. The other lengths I want is this outside edge. Escape. See how it took this distance? I don't want this distance. Let me show you real quick. I'm going to dimension this outside edge. I want this one where it's like parallel with it and not this one, which is its vertical height above this line. I want this distance, and you'll see they're different numbers. So make sure you get this one. And I'm going to say 4.5. Then I'm going to grab this and drag it a little closer. I don't need to be way out there. Same way with this. I'm just going to move it around a little bit. All right. Next thing I want to do is I want to set the distance of, or the length of this line. So D for dimensioning. Click here. And I'm going to say this one should be a 2.5. This line, I'm not going to define the length of it. I'm going to let it be the one that flexes when all the other things change in the drawing. All right. So, one more. This outside one here, I want this to be 10. That's the height of it. And yeah, now we need to set the angle. I want the angle from here to this line, the angle in between these two lines, to be 55 degrees. So I'm going to use my dimensioning tool again, click on this line, click on the other line, and now it switches over to an angle measurement. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to say 55 degrees. Enter. Now, I want this one to be perpendicular to this line. And see this little T here, this upside down T? That's the perpendicular symbol. They are already perpendicular. I also want this these two lines to be perpendicular to each other, and there's no symbol here, which means they're not quite perpendicular. So what I'm going to come up here is come to my constraints, grab my perpendicular constraint. If there isn't a perpendicular thing here, which there probably isn't for you, you're just going to click on this one and then click on that one. And I get an error because it says it's already constrained, so it already has that constraint. But this one doesn't for me. So I'm going to click on this line, and notice it puts a perpendicular in here and in here, meaning those two things are perpendicular to each other. 90-degree angle is what perpendicular means, right? So not perpendicular, perpendicular. Okay. So that's it. Now everything is black, which means it's all locked in place. I am ready to rock and roll. Now we're going to build in all the tabs. To do that, we're going to first go up here and grab a rectangle tool. We're going to start with the tabs that go around all the sides and back. We're going to go clockwise around. So I'm going to start up here in this corner, and I'm just going to drag out. And before I do that, actually escape out of this, I need to set up my thickness first, because I'm going to use a parameter called thickness to set the thickness of the plywood. Now when you're doing this, I want you to go grab pieces of plywood. In fact, you should stop the video at this point. Go grab 5 pieces of plywood. That's how much you'll need to make this, at least 5 pieces, but I think 5 pieces will do it. Grab 5 pieces, take some painter's tape, wrap painter's tape around it once, write your name on it. Those are your 5 pieces. Then clamp together the edge and measure how thick 5 pieces are. And then come back here and I'll show you what to do with that number. Okay, I'm assuming you're back now. You've paused it and you've done that work. So you probably got a number in the 13 somewhere for 5 pieces of plywood. So what we're going to do is type that number in here. I measured 13.658 millimeters. And I need to change this to millimeters here because the number from the caliper will tell me millimeters. But that's the thickness of 5 pieces. So I just want to do a divided by, which is a slash bar. 5, and you can see here is 2.732. Oh, sorry, this was supposed to be a 5, so I got 13.558. Okay, and you may have got a different value for your plywood, but that gives us the thickness of one piece. So here I'm going to type in material thickness. I like doing the mathematics right here, doing division here, because that way if I make a mistake on the calculator, it won't do that. Like it won't make a mistake that way. So I click OK. And now I have this thing called thickness that I can use for dimensions. Click OK. All right, now back to making the tabs. I'm going to click on this rectangle here. I'm going to click in this top left corner and drag it out. I'm going to make this 1.5 centimeters left, right. Hit tab to go to the next one. I'm going to type in TH, enter to enter the thickness, and then enter one more time to draw the rectangle. Now that I have that rectangle, I'm going to pattern it across this whole top. So I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to say create rectangular pattern. I'm going to click on the left, the bottom, and the right. These are the things I need. I can also click on this line here, but I don't need this little line to get patterned every time because I have this big black line in place of it, and they're on top of each other. So the next thing to do is pattern it out. So I'm going to drag it out to the side here. And I'm going to drag it all the way to the end the best I can. I'm going to zoom in so I can get really close. What I don't want is it to be like this and too far into the inside like this is. It's got to be just a tiny bit, just a hair over. That's what I'm going for. If you want to use my distances, you can use the distance of 21.45 in your distance quantity right now. And then I need to just increase, it's 21.45 centimeters across. I want to just increase the quantity here from 3 up to a whole bunch. What I'm looking for is trying to get the space in between them about the same as the space of them. And that looks pretty good right there. So I used 8 tabs at a total extent distance of 21.45. And I'm going to click OK. That should do it. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to go down this edge. We're going to start in that corner and go down this edge. So I'm going to start there. I want this top left-right measurement to be thickness because it's the thickness of the plywood. That's the tab we're making. And then tab over to 1.5 centimeters and hit enter. Now I'm going to do create rectangular pattern. I'm going to zoom in here. This one's hard to grab. So notice how I'm getting this whole line. I'm going to hold down the left click button till it brings me up a menu, and I'm going to choose which one I want. I want that little line there. So I'm going to click on that one, and this one. So whenever you're having a hard time selecting something when there's multiple things on top of each other, just hold down that left key, that left mouse button. It'll bring up all the things you can possibly select underneath it. Okay, now I'm going to drag down. And again here, I'm going to try to line it up. It's actually 10 centimeters, so I'll show you a trick. It'll line up really easily right there. So it's at negative 8.5 is where it lines up. It's the 10 centimeters minus the width of the tab, which is 1.5. And then the quantity, let's just zoom back out. And if I zoom in, I can see, like, as far as I zoom in, it's lined up perfectly. The other one didn't quite line up because its length isn't a nice even number like 10 across the top here. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to increase to maybe 4. Oops, wrong one. 4. 5 was too many, so 4 is it. I'm using a quantity of 4 tabs at a negative 8.5 centimeter total extent. And I'm going to click OK. All right, one last one to do. We're going to start in this right-hand corner and go all across the bottom. So I'm going to click down here, create it. This one at the bottom should still be 1.5 centimeters, tab over, and this one should be thickness, so TH, enter, and enter one more time to draw the rectangle. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to start doing a create rectangular pattern tool. I'm going to hold down the left click so I can see all that. That's the one I want, the little one, this one, and that one. So those are my 3 sides. I'm going to drag it left, zoom out some so I can see where I'm going. And I'm going to drag it all the way to this corner. Zoom in, and right about, you know what, that's probably fine. Like this little thing here will get fried by the laser anyway. So it can be just a tiny bit like that. And that looks good. Now we just get the right number of them in there. So I'm using negative 31.50 as the distance. And then I'm just going to increase the number of them. That's pretty good. I got to 11, and 11 looks pretty well spaced. So I'm just going to click OK. It's going to draw all those for me. So now you can see we've got the tabs cut on the top, the back, and the bottom. Now we need to figure out the tabs for the front, this ledge, and over. All right. On this side, this face, we can actually create the tabs on this face, starting in the center and then patterning out to the edges. To draw a rectangle on an angle like this, we've got to use the 3-point rectangle tool over here in the menu. So I'm going to click on this one. It's a 3-point rectangle tool. I'm going to click somewhere over here, not the middle. So avoid this middle or it'll be locked in place. I'm going to click over here, go down the line a little bit, click again, and then drag it up. And this should be thickness up. Except I went in the wrong direction. Sorry. I should have gone down into it, not up. And then I'm going to hit enter one more time to draw it in place. Now, using that tool, I couldn't dimension this side. So I'm going to use the D key. I'm going to click on this edge. I'm going to drag up. Make sure you don't have this one. You want this measurement, the one that's parallel to it, not the one that's vertical. I'm going to click here, and this one is going to be 1 centimeter. And now I'm going to position it, so I'm going to zoom in here a bunch because I need to see what I'm doing. And I want to grab this little line and then this big line. Oops, sorry, I grabbed my midpoint tool here. So this triangle thing lines up the next 2 things with their midpoints to each other. So I want this line to be in the middle of this line, so now they are locked in place. Now I can just do a patterning tool. So I'm going to do a create rectangular pattern. In fact, I'm going to do this so many times, this one. I'm going to go down to create rectangular pattern here, click on this little caterpillar menu, and do change keyboard shortcut. I'm going to give this, let's try something. No, that's a rectangle tool. P? No, that's project already. I'm going to give it a weird one. I'm going to give it the backward slash. Yeah, the backslash just above the enter key is going to be the key I'm going to use for rectangular pattern. Once I decide on a key that doesn't have another that's already programmed. I'm going to click OK. And now instead of going up to create rectangular pattern, I'm just going to use the backslash key and I get a rectangular pattern menu open right here. All right, so now I'm going to choose what I want to pattern. This one, and this one. But notice something weird is happening. It's going to pattern either to the left, right, or up, down. And we don't want that. We want it to pattern along this line. So I'm going to come over here and click on direction and then click on this line. Now it'll pattern across this line. I'm going to go to where it's just over the edge, as close as I can get it. Yeah, like about there. I got 1.76 there. And then I'm going to come here and I'm going to choose the direction type as being symmetric. And now there's one down there as well, overlapping as well. And that all looks good. So I have 3 total, symmetrically placed at a distance of 1.76. And I'm going to hit enter. So now I can cut those tabs. That's going to look fantastic. The next one we're going to do is this one here. And this one we're going to just cut 2 squares. So I'm going to take this rectangle tool. And again, I want to draw a rectangle on this angle. So I'm going to have to use a 3-point rectangle. I'm going to start in this corner, drag up, click again somewhere, doesn't matter how big. And then this one I'm going to type in TH, enter, and then enter one more time to draw it. Now I need to dimension how long this line is. So I'm going to hit the D key for dimension. I'm going to click on this line and then click down here. Make sure I don't get this one. I want this one where it's parallel. And we're going to call this one 0.75. Enter. And we're going to do the exact same thing. So rectangle pattern tool, 3-point rectangle, start in the other corner right here. Drag down this way somewhat. Come pull it down into it. And then type in thickness, TH, enter, enter, that draws it. Hit the D key for dimensioning, and we're going to dimension this one as, I'm going to put this one up here, I think. So I clicked on that line, now I'm coming up here, and I'm clicking here to place it, and then 0.75, enter. And now these 2 boxes are the same. Okay, so that does it for our tabs. Look how well we've done so far. We've done our tabs all around. We just have these tabs left. Now these tabs are a little weird. Instead of going in, they're going to be poking out of it. And we're going to start from this top right corner up here. So we're going to zoom in. And again, we want to do it on an angle. So we're going to do a 3-point rectangle. Come up here to the corner. Drag down the line here. And then click again. And then open it up. TH, enter, and enter. And that draws it. Hit the D for dimensioning key. Click on this one and drag up here. You don't want this one. You want this one. And we're going to make this 1. Perfect. Now this is all locked in place, ready to go. We can just quickly do a create. Oh, even better, we can do backslash and it'll bring it up. And then 1, 2, 3 things we want to pattern. Notice how it's going left and up or right and up. We want to say, come over here, click on direction. And we're going to say we want to go down this line. And now we can drag it. And we're looking to drag it to, let's zoom out a little bit. We don't want to go all the way to the corner. That won't look very nice. We're going to come down to about, yeah, let's do -8 centimeters. Right now there's 3 of them, but we need more than that. And let's just increase the quantity. That looks right. That looks good just like that, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so I've got 5 of them in there at a distance of -8 centimeters, and everything is good. Okay. Yours may not be negative. If negative goes the wrong way, just make it positive. It just depends on which way Fusion gets to go for you. I'm going to click OK, and now I have the tabs. All right, so when we started this, I promised you we're going to get the most complicated sketch we've ever had, and there it is. To extrude, it's really easy, though. We're going to hit the E key. I don't know why mine tips right now, but it does. I'm going to tip it back to front because I want to, or back to the right side because I want to see it. I'm going to click here. I'm going to extrude all of that. I don't want any of these extruded. Those are all going to be the holes. But I do want all of these extruded. There, there, and there. So I'm extruding all of those. And I'm going to click. Oh, I need to do the thickness of the extrusion. So this I am going to turn to. And here I want it to be the thickness of the plywood because that's what we're making. So I'm going to type in TH, enter, one more enter to lock in the extrusion, and we have built the first piece of the computer stand. We have also built the hardest piece of the computer stand. So if you're like, no more of this for me, it's okay. It's going to go a lot faster now that we have this one piece built. All right, thanks a lot for watching, and we will pick up here in the next video when we'll take this piece, we'll copy it, we'll pattern it out, we'll make 2 more of them instantaneously. We'll use those 2 to make the side piece, and then we'll make the back piece, the top piece, the bottom piece, and then all the front pieces, and we're done. It's a great thing. Good job so far.